Who knew you could have fun at a movie with DC characters? Spoiler alert, I knew. Too bad for us, DC forgot that for give or take 3 decades or so. This is the review of Champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Cigar has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, the original, Mr. Taylor First. How are you, man?
I am super.
I knew you were going to say that. Next up, Merv. How are you, man?
Crypto.
Are you?
Woof. Voice only, we have Loki's mom. How are you?
Doing really well. I have nerves of steel.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Lord Deathman, also voice only. How are you?
I am ready to leap into this review in a single bound.
And nobody took the pun terrific. Well, I'm disappointed in y'all. Today we're going to talk about Superman, but before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our forum at Freeforums.net. You can do that by clicking in the link in the description. Consider this your final warning. After this point, we are spoiling the movie, so if you haven't seen it, do that first and then check out our review. We're going to do 3 rounds. First, our quick thoughts, and I do mean quick thoughts. After that, we're going to do a deeper dive into our likes and dislikes for this film, and we will end in our final round with a rating. And in between, you never know if there's an afterthought or remark or some silly jokes. You never know. So let's begin. Superman. It is the first live-action outing in the brand new DCU, created by and cured by James Gunn. We loved Creature Commandos, as you can see in our review for that. But what did we think of Superman? And you know what? I'm going to start with you, Taylor. Quick thoughts on Superman.
I saw it this morning. I liked it a lot. Quick enough?
Yes, absolutely. Loki's mom, you also saw it this morning.
Yes, I did at 9 a.m. I haven't been to a movie that early since I was a young kid, so it was like when you would go see the Superman and those types of movies. So seeing that movie that early in the morning really brought back a lot of memories, and it was a really great film, and I enjoyed it.
That's great to hear. Lord Deathman, did you enjoy Superman?
If I had to send a greeting card to the Batman, it would be this. Go see Superman. Because this is the DCU film that I have been waiting for. And I don't want to burn through too much of my deep dive, but I really loved this film.
Merv, last but not least, tell me, did you like Superman?
Yes, quite a bit. It was just visually spectacular. I thought the characters were great, and I think Lord Deathman on the board declared it an overstuffed burrito, and it was delicious.
Yeah. I totally agree with the whole panel. I loved Superman. I really enjoyed the film. In the beginning, I was like, I don't know. I need to get into this. But once I caught on, it was, just great fun. I enjoyed it. And no doubt in our deep dive, we will unpack everything. But I just had fun. And it was great to have fun at the movies. And this was, I told Merv we had a little pre-talk, it was bright and colorful. And it's not only visually bright and colorful, but it's also mentally bright and colorful. And man, I have missed that in DC. It was just a delight. And if this is the DCU, I'm in. I'm totally in. But You're not tuning into this show to hear me talk. You're here to hear the champions talk. So I'll let them. And I'll start with Lord Deathman. Lord Deathman, did you have any negatives, or do you just want to make love to Superman?
do I, do I want to make love to this film? No, I had a couple of negatives about the film, and they're easy enough to get out of the way straight ahead. But what I want to congratulate James Gunn on at the top of my review is doing what I thought was impossible. He has launched a fully operational, interconnected DCU universe right out of the gate with this first film. It's just amazing how he's already created this lived in world where there's already aliens and interdimensional imps and metahumans. And he does it in a Star Wars type explainer. That thing that you saw at the beginning of the movie, where he gives you the three sets of threes that have been going on in the Man of Steel's life, is the same orientation that you got in that crawl in Star Wars. And I think he really has done it. He's created a canvas that not only he can easily paint on, but that anyone can jump in on and say, you don't have to go through that thing with the MCU where, oh, the Battle of New York, there's aliens. And then, oh, like there's always these firsts that you have to kind of get past in the MCU. We will have none of that in the DCU. And I think that that's beautiful. It's going to be as weird as he wants it to be. I mean, even at the end of the movie, when Supergirl shows up, that her movie can take place seconds after that movie ended without any continuity issues or worrying about who was where and what and when and all of those kinds of things. This, I have to say, is the third iteration of the comic book movie genre. James Gunn has moved us forward into a new evolution of comic book movies. And he certainly learned all of the lessons that he needed to when he was working with Marvel. He set this up brilliantly, and I don't think we're going to fully understand how well he did this until we start seeing more movies. But again, weaknesses. This film is a bit overcrowded, and it is somewhat chaotic. I found that to be in the best and most beautiful way possible, but I really had to step outside of myself as a comic book reader and look at this as a casual fan. There were probably a lot of question marks above people's heads, like every time a new character came on screen with no backstory. Who is this weird guy that's divided in four and doesn't want you to look at him and has a weird baby? And you're like, like what is happening here? I could see normies like just totally falling down this like acid trip tunnel. Meanwhile, I'm just like high as a kite watching the film and like, wow, the all these different things are really happening. Justice Gang. So the film is overcrowded. I think there are some gunnisms, is what I'm going to call them, in terms of some characterizations, some things where Gunn just goes a little too far. You've got a friend who knows how to set up a great joke, starts telling it, and then adds that one extra thing at the end where you're like, dude, that was weird, right? That didn't have to happen. And for one, I think Eve Tessmacher, she's an oddly disturbing character, and I'm like, what really, Jim? Like it's like she came from another movie to join this one, but I think Eve could have been tuned a little bit more to kind of fit into the overall story. There were times when I actually felt bad for her as a human being, and I don't think that that's what his intention was when he introduced her.
Yeah, but in the end, she is the true hero of this film.
In a way, she is, even though she seems to like need psychiatric help and is a bit disturbingly unhinged throughout the film. And I'm like, Jim, we didn't have to go there. There's the whole Kryptonian thing with the first half of the speech and back half, and then when you're listening to the back half, they're talking about harems and like, okay, yeah, you do. You should take many wives. I'm like, Jim, this is why you have editors in this world. You could have stopped when it was like about taking over the planet. That would have been weird enough for Superman's parents, but he just had to draw the joke out to the point where you were going to definitely be uncomfortable. So there were a few gunnisms that I think could have, if they were not there, they could have been a stronger film. But the fact that they are there just kind of speaks to who James Gunn is, right? And this is he is indomitable in his will to weird you out at some point. I think another negative about this is that Superman has to do a lot of spotlight sharing. There's a lot of characters in this film, and I think Superman comes off as strong. If it wasn't David Cornsweet playing Superman, any other actor I think could have gotten lost in the sea of different events and weirdnesses that are going on in this film. But David Cornsweet, thank goodness, is kind of like a new. I don't even want to compare him to Reeves. He's a totally different thing in terms of Superman, but capturing those same qualities that we love with Superman. It is not an impersonation of Reeves. It's not a homage. This is altruism. This is kindness. This is superheroics for the 21st century. And he does a fantastic, brilliant job. But he does have to share. And at times you feel it. Like you're like, where is Superman? Like in his own movie, he doesn't even make it to Barovia when they're like stopping the invasion. He's like, well, can't be in two places at once. I'm going to send the Justice Gang to take care of that. Don't worry about it.
We got an upgrade.
Right. you know, um, yeah. And there were a couple of gags that didn't land for me, like the terrific car kind of falling off of the planet building. I'm like, oh, did we need that? Like Lois, like not getting it right in terms of flying the vehicle when she demonstrated like expertise in it just a few scenes earlier. She was like cruising around the city and it was fine. I think Mr. Terrific, as he's the standout, really the MVP of the movie for me. But there were a couple of moments where I'm like, I think James Gunn might have been doing things that I will call like for the black gaze, like you should know that this dude is black and there's going to be right. And I'm like, you didn't have to put that in there. It would have been fine. So those are the weaknesses for me, really those things. But when I go to strengths, I love the all-star vibe of this. And for those of you who don't know what all-star is in the comic book world, it was an imprint of DC where you got to take classic characters and put them in situations that didn't revolve around normal continuity. You could just take them out of, the ongoing stories that were going on in their books. You didn't have to worry about what happened 10 years ago or 10 seconds ago. You could write any kind of story that you wanted. And I think that he took the spirit of that and brought it to this movie. It's a very all-star. Let me take the best of everything that this character is about and jam it all into one movie. I love the fact that Superman is a true man of action. He's not introspective. He's not existential. He doesn't have two beautiful parents who are telling him, hey, maybe you don't owe those guys nothing. Right? He's a guy that's always, in motion and always doing something. And I didn't realize how much I missed that version of Superman until I saw what James Gunn put down here. The visuals and the action, incredibly imaginative. Some of those visuals are really going to be top tier comic book movie stuff for me when I get to watch it again. I loved it. Pocket universes, T-spheres, kaiju, anti-proton rivers, interdimensional imps. He's all over the map with all of this stuff. This is what comic book nerds kind of live for. He's embracing, and I heard some people say cartoonish, and I'm like, yeah, clearly, without sounding like an elitist, clearly you've never read a comic book because this is not cartoonish. It is how comic books work. And he captured it. I loved tone, heart. This film has it all. They play kindness and altruism and heroism completely straight. And that's been a problem for the genre probably since Iron Man. And anyone who does something super heroic, anyone who's kind, anyone there's immediately a joke or some snark after it, right? We can't take it too seriously because we're all so cool and sarcastic and like we can't play this straight. But the way Cornsweet played it and the way the script comes off, there's this moment where I really felt a tear welling up in me where he's about to go turn himself in. I think it's the scene in the apartment and he's getting up and he's like, yeah, I think I'm worried about my dog. So I'm going to go turn myself in. And then on the way, I think he says to Lois, he's like, I got to tell you, I'm sorry I never said this before, but I love you. Right? Like I'm like that's Superman, right? Like he does, and you can see Lois like, oh my god, like I didn't think it was gonna rise to that. I didn't like he's on his way out the door. Like even she as like hardened and sarcastic and as like tough as she's trying to come off, she's disarmed by that, and you can see it in Rachel's acting at that particular moment. Wonderful. The technical craft. This is my last positive about the film. Second to last. I'm sorry, I'm ranting here, but
No, I just love that the technical crap is your next positive.
yeah, technical craft that went on. Positive, very positive. I love the special effects. I love the camera work. You have these pixel peepers today. Everybody in their reviews like thinks that they're like Albert Einstein because they found an unrendered polygon in the special effects. It's, guys, give me a break already. Stop with the bad CGI. It's giving me cancer and shut up. This stuff, but so they keep the camera moving so that you're not doing too much pixel peeping on this stuff and looking for where like that little patch right there. Don't let it take you. They did it beautifully, and the fact that they used these great wide angle cameras when he's breaking out of that cell in the pocket dimension, when you see him flying and it's like fisheye, so it's distorted on the edges. This is the same exaggerated kind of defying anatomy stuff that you see on a comic book panel. This was all intentional. It was not mistaken. He did not think it through. This is the way it's supposed to work, right? And it was beautifully done. Again, another great scene. Superman's flying from one location to the next, and you see him experience all the weather, like his face freezing, then it burns, then his hair is messed up for a few seconds. I'm like, wow, this is really, really incredible stuff. He's done such original work and brought to the table with this. I loved it. I really loved it. I'm on viewing number 2. There's gonna be a number 3. And last positive to end and my summation, score and soundtrack. I know that this didn't work for everybody, and I get it. We're all used to wanting to see a Superman film that has like a really heroic and dramatic march, where we're all kind of back to Superman 1978. But something different needed to happen with the music in a Superman. We can't all be trying to live up to that score. Like Hans came close, like his score for Man of Steel, great, but not Superman 1978. I'm sorry. It just isn't. So Gunn is like, I'm not even going to try. He does a couple of needle drops that I think personally worked very well. That Mr. Terrific scene said spinoff. I gotta see this dude in his own movie because that was incredible, right? Like it just see it in IMAX and it really, really came through in a way that I just was unbelievably good. And the song itself, no accounting for taste, but is a bit of an earworm. I had to Shazam it right away and say, "Oh, what tune was that?" But yeah, I'm ready for more of this Superman, and I'm ready for more of this DCU. Outstanding job from everyone involved.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Loki's mom. You saw it this morning.
Mhm.
Do you have any particular negatives about this movie?
Not really. I think Lord Deathman brought out most of them. Yeah, it was a little rushed. I think when Lex Luthor realizes he cannot defeat the Man of Steel, even with his, which we come to find out is his double, um, that he character assassinates him, and that just goes a little too quick. I mean, it's like everybody just suddenly turns against him, and I love Mr. Terrific. He goes, "Yeah, man, I know people in IT, and they know this stuff. They know that was not a fake. Of Jor El was not fake." But anyway, other than like I say, it was jam packed, yeah, absolutely, with a lot of these characters, and I really didn't know what to expect. I hadn't read anything up on it going into it. I did know that Rachel Brosnahan, I think that's how you say her name. I'm not sure, but she was the the marvelous Mrs. Maisel on I think Netflix for several seasons, and she is just a terrific actress and very funny. She's just yeah, I knew she would nail Lois Lane, and she absolutely did. Um, I think the Lux Luthor character was just a little weak. Maybe they could have gotten a little bit more. He was just like straight laced, just he could have been anybody, but they just shaved his head, and there was nothing that really differentiated this Lex Luthor as being any other type of oligarch asshole, if you want to call it that. He just had more gadgets to work with. Um, so I think that was just a tad weak. Otherwise, I mean, it was just like I said, a lot of fun. I loved the Green Lantern. I love it. Like you say, James Gunn he pops these people up off the comic book page and makes them, with the bold, with that ridiculous haircut and the silliness and whatnot of the character and the bravado and um, even though there was a lot of it, it all kind of meshed together and worked in the end and really made for a terrific film. Even if it could, there were times when like I say, poor Superman Clark Kent. He's what? How many times did he get beat up and nearly dead and had to be brought back to life and or not to life, but brought back from the brink of death. And but yeah, I mean, it was just a little too much punishment on him. But he's Superman. That's what he's supposed to do. So yeah, what's his name? Corin. What's his name?
Corn Sweat.
Corn Sweat. Yeah, I think
Thank you.
he's very good. I think James Gunn really did a good job in that he harkens back to the Christopher Reeve character more so than the other, and there's been several Superman in between them. Um, and also with Rachel as Lois Lane, I think there was a Margot Kidder vibe to her. I remember when the '78 Superman came out, and that was a big deal, and of course made big stars of Reeves and Kidder and all the folks in it. And you talk about a great Lex Luthor, but that was Gene Hackman. I think he set the mold for that character, but in the movies anyway. But yeah, I loved the visual effects were stunning when they're having that argument in his apartment or Lois's apartment, and then there's a battle going on outside. And it's just like secondary, but it's just beautifully done. And yeah, all of it was just like eye candy as far as the comic book genre movie goes. I think James Gunn knows what he's doing there, and absolutely he did a very good job visually and with the action scenes and all that. And I think it's going to be interesting though, because when we look at the Batman that we've just come off of, particularly the Penguin series, how dark that is. It's very, very kind of ground into realism, whereas over here across the river in Metropolis, it's back to this fluffy Saturday morning matinee type adventure comedy type stuff. And of course, a big shout out to Crypto, the money laundering dog.
Yeah. Well, I do believe that the Batman and the Penguin are set in a Elseworlds universe, so it's not part of this universe. But you never know what they're gonna do because they're still struggling with Batman. I believe what James Gunn said. So maybe he will just pull him in. We get the Batman in the DCU. You don't know, Merv. Um, yeah. Did you like? Do you have any negatives about this movie, or is all positive?
Well, in they're all fairly minor in the if there were a scale balancing how much I liked about this movie and how much I didn't like it, it would be way outgrossed. So I'll just go through them pretty quick. And this one may be unique to me, but Lex Luthor. It wasn't. I didn't not like the character of Lex in this, but my favorite versions of Lex come across as a little more like stoic businessman as opposed to like kind of man baby, which is what we got in a couple of scenes here, not all of them. And I think Holt is an excellent actor, so it's not like the acting problem. I just wonder if like if a few of the scenes where like he's just pushing stuff off the table, if that weren't there for just like comedic effect, I don't know that, like, even though I laughed at those scenes, I feel like maybe without them, I would have appreciated this Lex a little more, or gotten more of a supervillain vibe from him, as opposed to just like the tech bro man baby at times. Again, like I thought down the stretch, especially in like the last half of this movie, I thought he was excellent. More often than not, but like there were just those few moments that like poked enough holes that I was like, I don't know, like, especially early on, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this Lex at all, which was surprising because I went into it fully expecting to love, because I like Nicholas Hoult in pretty much everything he's in. So, and another thing, this is gonna sound like just like the same thing over again, but the circular choreography was amazing. However, by the final battle between Superman and the artist formerly known as the Hammer of Barovia, now known as, I guess, Bizarro, we'll just call him that since that's what he is. I wanted to really see that fight happen, and the choreography of the sequence, probably because it was heavily CGI, and I get trying to hide some things, but it was bouncing back and forth between like crypto biting things, the cameras that Luthor was using, and then like you'd see like a punch from Superman come at Bizarro, and then like it would go back to the dog, and it was that spinning thing, which works in every other scene. I didn't have an issue with it until this one, where it was like mildly dark, and like I really just wanted the impact of the fight for whenever Superman finally doesn't get his ass kicked. I wanted to see that more than I wanted to see like the dog biting things and the circular, the swivel of the choreography. So just in that one fight scene alone was where I had an issue with it. And not a huge issue. It was just like I just wanted to feel that impact more. And then I don't know where the perfect crossroads for this is, because I think I'm getting into the positives a little bit, but like the instantaneous world building of this movie was immaculate, to the point where like every background extra is essentially a named comic book character, which I loved, because like you don't need to know everything right out of the gate, but like everything that's going on, even in the background, is happening. This is a lived-in universe, and nothing stops just because Superman is eating a donut today. You know what I mean? Like that's the vibe that you get throughout this whole thing. But like I don't know where there's a perfect balance where that still exists, and there's not. It doesn't feel like there's maybe too many characters in this scene. Like particularly the one that stood out, like, is whenever they were evacuating from the oh shit, I almost said the Daily Bugle again. What's the
Daily
Daily
Planet?
It's the Daily Planet.
I don't know why that's a hang up in my brain. I did that on a board too.
You're waiting for a brand new day.
Exactly. I'm just such a Spider-Man fan. But whenever they were evacuating, I was like, I don't even know who like 2 or 3 of these characters are. I've seen them in a couple of scenes, but there's just maybe like 1 or 2 many characters in this scene in particular that I'm like, I don't even know who they are or how they tie to things until the Daily Planet spinoff comes around. Like maybe we'll get more of them, and that's fine. But like in some scenes like that, I'm just like, there's just like a couple too many. Like I don't know if they implication on the plot or whatever, but those are really it. Like the laundry list of things I enjoyed about this. I mean, Superman and Lois, the actors portraying them, and the characterization in this film was amazing between the two. They have such wonderful chemistry, the actor and actress, and it's really on display here. Like every emotional scene between them, like lands perfectly. Like I loved everything, particularly about their relationship here. I already mentioned the world building. I mean, I don't even know. There's so much that they show you in this. Like it's such a great introduction to this universe that like there's so many things I probably missed, and I won't even notice until a second or third or fourth viewing, because it's so jam packed with interesting like comic book stuff and little references here and there and everywhere, and you really feel that. I thought that was probably the best thing. My favorite thing about this coming out was how much I felt like this universe is built already. This is an excellent foundation for this. The visuals, I mean, I didn't see a single thing that I didn't like about the visuals. They were immaculate. The cast of characters, fantastic across the board, but two particular highlights. I am a huge Green Lantern fan, and Guy Gardner is my favorite Green Lantern, which is not
Yeah.
everyone's favorite choice because he's kind of a jerk.
I
love
want to
that
see
he's a
his
jerk.
movie. I'm
I
now.
want to see his
I
movie.
don't care about Hal Jordan. I want to see a Guy Gardner and Green Lantern
Yeah,
movie.
it's always more interesting to me to have a jerk be a hero than like, I don't want to say that because this is the Superman movie and I love Superman, but Guy Gardner is my favorite Green Lantern, and I loved him in this. I thought Nathan Fillion did an amazing job portraying the character through all his faults and just his arrogance. You really feel that, and it was a great differentiating thing between him and Clark Kent Superman, who is way more humble and far less arrogant than Guy Gardner. And I just loved it. His upgrade line had me rolling. Like, you've got an upgrade from Superman. like I know that they're in their own world, so they probably feel that way. But it's just like when you see it on paper, it's like, yeah, Guy Gardner's an upgrade from Superman. Yeah, nobody would think that, but I loved it. I thought it was spot on. And Crypto was, and I didn't expect to love Crypto in this as much as I did. Every single scene that Crypto was on the screen, I had an ear-to-ear grin. I loved that dog more than anything. I would watch a Crypto spinoff tomorrow if it came out. Just everything. But my favorite scene, at least in one watch, is when they're in the Pocket Universe and Mr. Terrific is there, and he's got his drones flying around scanning, and he says something like, "Oh, we see like a weird tentacle guy and a dog and all this stuff." But Crypto spots the ball, and his head just like does that little tilt, and you see him see it from like feels like a mile away, and you just see Mr. Terrific start to panic, and then eventually Crypto gets the ball, and I'm just like, that's such a dog thing. Like, he's there, he's a superhero dog, but oh, there's a ball. You know what I mean? Like, that had me rolling, and there were so many scenes like that where he's just a dog, and it just really lightened everything up for me whenever I was watching this. I thought it was great. Fantastic movie. None of the stuff I complained about really matters. I would watch this. I would go see it tomorrow. I might. So, a wonderful movie.
Well, okay. Taylor, do you have any complaints?
Oh, yes, I'll get to my long list of complaints here later,
Oh,
if there's time.
we have all the time in the world.
Well,
About
let's get
30
to the good
seconds.
stuff. So much stuff. Okay, if I wrote the headlines for the Daily Planet, tomorrow's headline is "Sexy Selfies Save Superman." Below that, Kim Kardashian says, "See, told you so." No. This movie, first of all, it confirmed one thing I've always known, that other than Kal-El and Kara, Kryptonians are all a-holes, and we now know that even his parents were a-holes.
We love you
Kryptonians.
more than land. Who says that?
I think
We
the
love
tip
you
off
more
was
than
Bradley
land.
Cooper.
But this movie is like you walk into, it's 1982, first of all. You walk into a drugstore, and on the little spinny rack, you pull a comic book off, and you see that it's the final issue of a 4-issue story arc. And you buy it and read it anyway, even though you haven't seen the first 3 issues. And it doesn't matter because it's still awesome. Uh, uh, just great cinema. All right. Yes, I said great cinema. It subverted expectations when we found out that Jimmy Olsen is a player. He is a total player. And I agree with Merv. I want the Daily Planet series. I want it to a workplace comedy set in the Daily Planet where we see these people doing their jobs, covering superheroes and supervillains and aliens and crap going on all the time. I also agree with Merv. There was that one guy when they all got into the terrific car, where she brought everybody in, and the sports guy didn't get a chair. There was one other guy in there that I have no idea who he was. I don't think he had a line. I thought to myself, is he a red shirt? Is that guy going to die? But no, it was just some other guy who works at the Daily Planet. Uh, this planet, what superhero movies, live action superhero movies have mistake that they've made in the past very often is, okay, we're going to take this fantastical comic book world and we're going to translate it and put these characters into live action, which means they have to be in the real world. Well, James Gunn said, no, we're going to take that comic book world and we're going to put it into live action. All right, and it's not going to look anything like our world, except on a very superficial level. And it worked. It worked fantastically. Um, Another great technique they use, which is the common technique, we hear about it all the time, is the character. In this one, Lois Lane is the stand-in for the audience, and that was so perfect, especially when they're having the conversation and the Justice Gang are fighting the interdimensional imp out the window. And we see that every once in a while she's glancing out to see what the heck is going on, and Superman's not even paying attention. He's like, yeah, they got it. It's just a interdimensional imp. No problem. And Guy Gardner is hitting it with a giant baseball bat. And this is again, they took the comic book world and they made, this is the world that this movie takes place in. All right. Lex Luthor has a thing that you let out the back of a truck, and 6 hours later, it's a freaking kaiju, and nobody cares. All right. You want us to make up some BS technical reason of how that happened? Yeah, we can do that. But do you really need it? I don't think we really need that. What we needed was Hawk Girl banging its eyeball with a mace over and over. And then, and while all that is going on, Superman saves a squirrel. While the kaiju is destroying the city and the Justice Gang are trying to kill it, Superman takes a moment to save a squirrel that was running across the road.
Amazing.
And speaking of squirrels, how do you beat a super dog? You put a video of a running squirrel in front of it, or a flying squirrel in front of it, and make it chase it forever. Just crazy. But again, this movie did a fantastic job of establishing this is the universe we're in. This is going to be the DC cinematic universe. Now, first movie, who knows what's going to happen in the future, making this a great shared universe that includes TV shows and cartoons and more movies. That's a tough task. It may be able to do it, and hopefully they can. But they may, could all go to crap with the next movie for all we know. So I don't want to get too giddy about it. But what this movie did was just establish this is the world we're in. All right, and they did a great job with the just the text at the beginning. 300 years ago, 30 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 hours ago, 3 minutes ago. Now you know everything you need to know about this universe that we're in. Technology. There was all kinds of great tech in here. Mr. Terrific. Now, Mr. Terrific, the only time I've ever seen this character before was in the Arrowverse, and I don't remember him doing much of anything in that. I remember him being there and not doing a whole lot. I remember him mostly like being a tech guy. I probably need to rewatch the Arrowverse. But in this movie, he was fantastic. And, when he sends his circles down the kaiju's throat and Superman is watching it with his X-ray vision, and it just goes in there and blows him up.
I want to correct you there. Circles are two-dimensional. So
Yep. There you go. There you go.
they're spheres.
I know, he was so offended. He was so offended by that. These are spears, and they don't pay for themselves either. Let me see, what am I forgetting? No, but I love it because look, it's 2025, and it's the United States of America. If there is anyone who walks into this theater and doesn't know who Ma and Pa Kent are by now, just don't go to the theater. All right, don't go to any movie ever, because you don't, you're apparently from came through a time machine from 1885 or something at this point. We don't need the backstory of how they, found him crashed in the cornfield and raised him and taught him all these wonderful lessons. And Ma and Pa Kent were just wonderful. I love how, they were so normal. They, I like Kevin Costner. He's a nice guy, but he's not your average
No,
Kansas farmer.
he's not.
He's freaking Robin Hood, okay? He's not a guy who freaking drives a tractor all day, every day for a living and enjoys it. All right. This guy was just a typical Kansas farmer who loves his kid and tells his kid, you decide what's best for you. You decide what you're going to be. No one's going to tell you. I don't tell you. The Martian family doesn't tell you what you want to be. You be what you know is right.
Luann doesn't tell you.
Luann doesn't tell you. She seems nice. But yeah, again, it was just all so perfect, and it all flowed so well. It all If there was before I get to my long list of complaints, the one complaint is that this movie, and I almost never say this, could have used a few more minutes added to this movie just to flesh stuff out a little bit, because there was so much going on, and not that it needed it to fulfill the story, but just because I wanted more. I just wanted to see more Guy Gardner. I wanted to see more of Hawk Girl. I wanted to see more of the Kents. Everybody. And again, like the characters. Maybe we'll find out that guy's name from the Daily Planet, who was in the terrific car with him. I was half expecting when he said the controls are easy and they're intuitive. I almost thought when she got in, it would be like a steering wheel and a pedal, and it would just be like driving a car. I thought that would have been cool. Pocket universes, robot monkeys that are bots on the internet. Hashtag super. What was it? I don't know if we can say it on YouTube. Hashtag super SHAT. Yeah, that's what talk about a shot at the people on the internet who have been, the bane of James Gunn's existence for the last however many decades. Yeah, you're freaking monkeys typing on a machine, just making stuff trend for
Yeah.
no reason at all.
Besides that, if they start trashing this movie, he was way ahead of that.
Exactly. Right.
They cannot trash it anymore because then they're playing themselves. It's
They're monkey
brilliant.
bots. They're monkey bots. Um, I mean, I could just go on. I could go through every scene of this movie. Lex Luthor. We've all seen in movies where they play Russian roulette. We've never seen one where the guy dies on the second shot.
That worked pretty quick.
Lex was like, "Oh, wow, didn't expect it to go that fast."
Yeah, that's what I want to say. He actually mentions that, like, oh.
And he goes, "I'll have to find someone else you've met and kill them." It was hilarious, and it was adventurous, and it was fantastical, and it was funny, but it wasn't. It was, a lot of people say there shouldn't be humor in comic books. Okay, it's in the name comic book, first of all. There should be humor there. But of course, like anything else, it can be done well and it can be done poorly. Here, I think that it was done well. I don't think it took away from any of the uh, emotional scenes, any of the characterization, the serious sides of the characters. I think the humor worked really well. Like I said, the comic books have gone through many iterations from where they're extremely comical to where they're extremely serious, and I think Gunn is finding a balance for his universe. He's doing it the way he likes it, and he's drawing from many different sources. Oh my God, the scene where they're escaping from the pocket universe, and not only does Superman, fall into the whatever antimatter river or whatever while he's fighting what were those guys called, the Raptor soldiers or whatever that were flying around, but no, he has to do this while holding a baby out of the water. A weird Martian proto metamorpho baby, whatever the heck it was. And that's always one of Clark Kent's, or one of Superman's weaknesses, is he always has to save the innocent, even if it means his own life, or it means the bad guy gets away, or gets gets the jewels or whatever it is. He saves the innocent. He promised Metamorpho, if you turn off the kryptonite and get me out of here, I will save your kid. And that's what he did. He saves that baby. And then the scene where Metamorpho is just a floating head with with the smoke trail or whatever coming on. Again, crazy. Um, just the little the music. I agree with Lord Deathman. The music was great. All the little, just the little style points, the movie gets, because that's Gunn's. That's what Gunn is really good at. He's just always good at putting in that little extra flair, And when Guy Gardner is stopping what country was it, Barovian, whatever made up country it was, stopping the Barovian army, he could have just hit him with a fist, but no, he gives him the finger with his giant green energy ring finger. Apparently, there's nothing in his oath against flipping people off, just against changing the name of the Justice Gang or whatever. Now, okay, you want negatives? I'll give you a negative. I didn't.
No.
I didn't.
Right.
I
Right.
didn't love the superhero costumes in this, but that's been a pet peeve of mine with Hollywood live action superheroes for a long time. They're
And
too
you've got
rubbery.
Trunks.
They're too rubbery looking. I do like the trunks. I'm glad they brought back the trunks, and the trunks work perfectly in this universe. But other than that, they're a little too thick and a little too rubbery looking for me. All right, but
Mm.
that's just a personal thing. I thought Superman's costume was okay. Again, I like the trunks. Again, I don't know why there's always extra lines put in, you know. But again, it was an improvement over the onesie from Henry Cavill. And what would have been great, my son actually said this on when we were driving home. Um, what would have been great is if um, the clone Superman, when they pulled the mask off, was Henry Cavill instead of Corin Sweat playing him. That would have been amazing. But can't have everything.
No, you can't.
All right. Anyway, like I said, I could go on and on. As you can tell, I'm relatively pleased with this movie.
Okay.
This is a movie you got to watch more than once. You got to watch this multiple times because there's just so much going on in every scene. As someone mentioned, the scene where Lois is in the cage and Mr. Terrific is fighting all those Raptor soldiers around him, just an incredible scene right there. And again, once again, we were mostly watching that from Lois's point of view of her looking out. In fact, I even had the color scheme most of the time because she was looking through the red energy thing that was protecting her, while he is just wrecking these guys. Um, oh, one more thing about the tech. All right, one more thing about the tech. I need this nanite tech that Lex Luthor has, because if you saw that scene where the engineer was in the sports bra, nanites give you abs from hell. Okay? So I definitely need some nanites in me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
that's all I can say. I see I'm out of time, so I can't get to all of my complaints, but that's okay.
well, if this is you mildly pleased, I'm scared of what's happening when you're very pleased. But anyway, uh, people, it's clear we all love Superman. I also love Superman. Punk rock, and the final scene where he was just sitting in a chair watching the Kents on the screens instead of his
Yes.
parents from Krypton. Chef's kiss. That's James Gunn for you. He knows how to write these kind of stuff, and it was just amazing, and I loved it. And yeah, hearing y'all talk, it just makes me even more. I want to see it again, and uh, I never had that with a DCEU movie. Never. That I wanted to see it again right away. And, now I do. So that says it all, I guess. You know what? We're going to rate this movie. And yeah, I'm just going to start with you, Loki's mom. Can I have your number?
Yeah, I think what's been brought out with all our comments is that James Gunn probably is I'm going to say he's the best as far as comic book genre goes. He's sort of, we'll just call him the John Ford of the comic books, movies. He trusts his audience. That's what I like about him. And as it's been pointed out, we know the story, we know the backstory. Just jump right into the action, and that's what he does. And I'm going to give this film a 8.5.
Okay, Taylor.
Oh, ho, ho. There's always room for improvement, you know. But just on the, I've when I came back after the watching the movie this morning, I went to YouTube and checked out some of the usual suspects of YouTube critics, and I'm kind of surprised. Some of them didn't like this movie, and I'm not talking about the crazy ones. Usually, some of the balanced ones, for whatever reason, didn't like this movie. So it's all a matter of taste. Now, there was one guy um, who um, hates every movie because it's too liberal or whatever. And this movie, he didn't. He even said it wasn't too liberal, and he still didn't like it. So there's some people just don't like anything apparently. Um, but how do I rate this movie? Like I said, there's room for improvement. I think we can go much further here in the DCU. So I'm gonna be hard on it. I'm just gonna give it a 9.9.
Okay, fair enough.
Do better, James Gunn. Do better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit
it's
got one
total failure. Lord Deathman.
Yeah, there's a lot you could say about this movie, and I'm trying to be mindful of our runtime here. I have a couple more notes. I want to give props to the marketing team at WB behind this movie.
Hmm.
Everything that you saw in those trailers happened in the first 20 minutes in this film.
Yeah.
And that is smart marketing. You thought, and don't lie, you thought when you saw Superman in the snow, all bloody and Crypto messing with him, that was like the beginning of a third act thing where that's the opening of the movie. And that is how you save surprises and delight for an actual audience. He did subvert every expectation I had about it. Second thing, guys, I'm trying not to carry water for this guy, but it's hard. He has been very polarizing in terms of how he handles media and how he deals with the press and social media. But I got to say, all of his detractors must be sucking on huge kryptonite jawbreakers at this moment because he delivered, right? So, whatever you think about the guy in terms of how he communicates, he still can put together a fantastic film. I'm giving this film a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, great. I yeah. Now I have to give a number. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10, and let me explain. I like this movie a lot. I had some trouble getting into it because it was a fully established universe. I do get why he did that. I love that he did that, but yeah, it took me a while to get into the movie. And yeah, the 8 out of 10. But I absolutely loved it. It was a great start. I can't wait to see it again, and I hope the level that we have will continue. So uh, we'll see about the DCU in the future. Good start. That will conclude this review of Champions for Superman. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. Well, we certainly did, as you can tell. If you did, you can help us out. Like and share this review and subscribe to our channel. And if you really want more of us, join our forum at Guarded Free Forums. So that just click on the link in the description and you can join our discussion at the board. We finished up our Ironheart review series this weekend as well, so you can check that out. And soon we will be reviewing the Fantastic Four First Steps. And of course, we are still working on our Infinity Saga series and our Star Trek series. So lots to see on the channel. For now, I want to thank you all also on behalf of our champions. And wish you to be safe and be well. Bye.